Good afternoon. Thank you for watching my discussion post for the week. I chose my controversy that I chose from the fundamentalist side point is the Scopes trial. The Scopes trial is also known as the monkey trial. It took place in Dayton, Tennessee, which is not very far from where I live, so that's kind of why I picked it. And it's a landmark legal case that focused on the issue of teaching evolution in public schools. So it's going to kind of go along with the fundamentalist controversies going along in this time period because modern science is coming in and we're discovering new things, and we've got to figure out how how Christianity is going to adapt to those things. And the fundamentalists are going to be slower to adapt to those things than others, but some of them will eventually will, and that's going to cause these controversies. So essentially the state of Tennessee is going to pass an act banning the teaching of the evolution theory in classes. Obviously Tennessee being a pro-Christian state at the time especially, and John Scopes, a science teacher in Dayton, Tennessee, is going to unintentionally, intentionally, he knew he was teaching it, but he believed in the science. He was a Christian, but he did believe in science, so he taught it, and then he's going to get sued for teaching it. And essentially, two high-profile defense attorneys, one who ran for president 3 times, and then Clarence Darrow, who was probably the most famous defense attorney at the time, defended Scopes, are going to get it, and it's going to turn into a big national-wide court case, and one of probably the first really publicized court cases in America, definitely on a large scale. So the discussion assignment was to find newspapers and their reaction to it, and you see several different things in these newspapers. Southern newspapers are of course, going to be outraged about the teaching of evolution, as most of those southern states are pro-Christian. Then you're going to have, several newspapers that are going to talk about the secrecy of the trial, and they're going to try to get several of the court proceedings to be secret and several of the evidence to be secret, and there's like a cloud of secrecy over it. And then you got several that are going to talk about it being a duel to the death, so the evolution of the Christians are eventually going to have to back down. So it was interesting to see just the outrage and the level of discussion, and I don't want to say using exclamation points, but kind of the verbal attacks on both sides that you're going to see in these newspapers when I was looking at it. Essentially, John Scopes is going to be found guilty of violating the Butler Act and fined $100, and that's eventually going to be overturned on technicality. So it didn't really do anything for John Scopes, but it's going to be an important trial on the national legal and religious landscape. It's going to significantly affect the status of teaching in public schools, and it's going to be another example of how the fundamentalist Christians are going to have to adapt and adjust to modern science as we discover and learn more things. And they're going to resist, and that's why we have these controversies. That's why we have these people that y'all doing your discussions about. So the Scopes trial, while being very important on the national scene, it's also very important in the religious scene. And that's my discussion post for the week. Thank you for listening.